Alright guys, this is the Ask Ron for this week, and we're doing this on location in Chicago, Schaumburg to be exact, during the Quick Start Real Estate School. So,
thus the pink shirt.
Yes.
Everybody in the room's got a pink shirt on, and we are fighting, this is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and if you'll notice on the back, it says I buy houses. So, everybody in the room's got one. So what do we got today, Nikki?
All right, question number 1 is from Henry Bourne from North Carolina. He says, Ron, in a video about contracts, you say you go out to a house with an agreement to be signed. If your attorney closes and handles the paperwork, what agreement do you bring with you to get signed ahead of time?
The answer is, if I'm buying the house, it's a purchase and sale agreement. If I'm leasing the house, it's a lease option agreement, the short form. The attorney can't close anything unless you have an agreement with the terms on it that he's to close by. So those are the 2 contracts you're going to go into the house with. Of course, you're only going to use one of them per deal, but both of those contracts you should learn how to use and be able to fill in quickly if you need to. And those lessons are right here on this site, so you can go find those lessons on filling in those contracts.
All right, and then the next question is from Ronald in Baltimore. Ron, I'm trying to get started here in the Baltimore market. Recently, I discovered a law here regarding limitations on doing deals without adhering to the MD Protection of Homeowners in Foreclosures Act. Do you have any insight on the limitations that may present themselves and how they may affect my investing career?
Well, yeah. I know you can't buy a house out of foreclosure if it's 20 days away from the sale, but why do you care about that? If you're chasing down those pre-foreclosures, you're working the hardest part of the business anyway, Ron. Come learn the real easy part. Come learn the pretty house side where you're not working with people in foreclosure all the time. You know, we're sitting here today, we just got off a bus trip, for example, going out and buying bank-owned properties, and I've done that many times in Baltimore, right on the bus trip. It's a great place to buy bank-owned deals. So you're chasing the wrong kind of deal in the business, and if you are going to chase foreclosures, you do need to get abreast of the foreclosure laws, and the only one that I can remember about Maryland is the 20-day rule.
Okay, so the next question is from Mary Ann in California.
Of course.
Ron, I have 3 questions regarding owner financing. Number 1, let's say the current tenants agree on a 5 or 7 year balloon.
Yep.
Does their monthly payment go towards their purchase price?
Now, you know better than that, Mary Ann. The answer is no. I don't ever let anybody's monthly payment go toward their purchase price. And there are no balloons in lease option agreements. Those are terms. In order to have a balloon, I have to have an owner financing document of some sort.
Okay, Mary Ann's second question. Would they be responsible for all the repairs?
Anytime I put a lease option tenant buyer in a house, they're responsible for the repairs. No exceptions. And has been from, gosh, 20 years now or more. So the answer is yes.
Okay, and the last question Mary Ann has is, who gets to claim at the end of the year the property tax and insurance that is included in the monthly mortgage payments?
Whoever's making the payments. Whoever's making the payments gets to write them off. Do not confuse that with rent collected. If tenant pays owner rent, then the owner makes payment. Owner gets to write off the interest and the taxes and the insurance at the end of the year.
All right, that's all for Polly Ann. That's all for Mary Ann. Let's move on to Polly Ann from Minnesota. Ron, FSBO owners are willing to sell for what they owe, which is a first mortgage of $300,000.
Okay.
And they're open to a contract for deed.
All right.
Their most recent advertised price is $330,000.
Okay.
Monthly payments are $2,500 per month PITI.
Right.
It's a 3-bedroom, 3-bath, 1,800 square feet with only cosmetic repairs needed. It seems like an axe deal, but contract for deed is better in Minnesota as it's easier to foreclose on a CD than evict under a lease option, and a seller isn't responsible for maintenance in the CD. Her question is, what modifications to a standard contract for feed need to be made to make it similar to an axe lease option contract for terms and protections?
Polly Ann, you're working way too hard, girl. put it under contract on a contract for deed, which is a purchase and sale agreement, with the words warranty deed at the top crossed out and replaced by the words contract for deed. Now you have a contract to buy it with owner financing on a contract for deed. Now, if you want to assign that contract, it is an axe deal. An axe deal is any terms you get on a property, not necessarily a lease option. Any terms you get from the seller, you can assign to the buyer. That's axe. So use a purchase and sale agreement, and then if you get somebody that wants to take over that position, you can assign that contract to them.
All right, I think that covers all of Pollyanne's questions.
All right.
Now we have a question from Ray Jackson in Florida.
Hello, Ray.
Ron, can a licensed realtor do axe deals without involving his broker and paying commissions?
Only if they disclose that they are a licensed dealer or realtor and they're not working as an agent but as an investor, sure. But you still need to have your broker in on what you're doing, because your broker is responsible for you if you have a license. But if it's not a transaction that involves a commission and you disclose, you should be okay.
All right, the final question for this week's Ask Ron is from Tim Barnes in New York.
Tim?
In your Work for Equity course, you have a down payment assistance program.
Yes.
I know that lease options are exempt from Dodd-Frank unless you give equity away.
Yes.
Which it seems you are doing in this down payment assistance program. In the past, you have said regardless that a one-time home seller is exempt from Dodd-Frank.
Yes.
Can you please clarify?
I think you just did. The one-time home buyer is, you can sell your house and be exempt from Dodd-Frank, and lease options are exempt from Dodd-Frank. And when I put a tenant buyer in the house, I don't give them credit toward their equity, so I don't know why your Dodd-Frank question even comes to light here. Dodd-Frank has nothing to do with this deal. So unless I missed something, and if I did, clarify it, and I'll answer it next week.
That's all the questions for this week's Ask Ron.
See you next week.